What's up, everybody, and welcome to ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. I'm Drew Bolsley. You can find me on Twitter at ArtisticGamer28, and that's the one, the only, the legendary Scott Savage. You can find him on Twitter at Savage. Scott, happy Wednesday. I had to think about it.
Well, you know, after today, I want to be referred to as Mythic because we're going for Halo Infinite.
It is Happy Halo Day, everybody. That's right. If you haven't seen it yet, hit us up at InsideTheGame.ca and check out our Halo Infinite campaign review. Everybody's downloading it right now as we speak because I'm talking to a lot of people who are already on it right now. So,
and this guy beat it already.
I finished the campaign. It was definitely worth it. Everybody's going to have a great time. I can't wait to hear everybody else's opinions now, and we can start talking about how there's the whole man. No spoilers. No spoilers. It's just I'm biting my tongue. I can't wait to talk about it. But if you want to talk about games and news, that means you should join us live right now over on twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as YouTube at Inside the Game Official. If you can't join us live, hit us up later. InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services and TV streaming networks around the globe. Scott, coming up on today's show, this one kind of, I don't know, man. Standalone versions of Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy are leaving the PlayStation 4 storefront. Miyazaki says there'd be no Dark Souls without ICO. We'll talk about that. And Ubisoft is bringing NFTs to Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Here we go, Scott. It begins, man. The NFT
It's an
thing
interesting one. Yeah.
Isn't it? Right? It's a very interesting one, that's for sure. So we'll see what happens. But let's get going because we're going to get into the world of Sony as they were removing standalone versions of Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy on PS4, which could then be only bought as a bundle. This comes from Robert Ramsey over at Push Square. In a move that doesn't come as a huge surprise, Sony has seemingly delisted the standalone versions of Uncharted 4: A Thief's End and Uncharted: The Lost Legacy on the PlayStation Store. This is no doubt due to the upcoming release of Uncharted Legacy of Thieves Collection on PS5, which offers a $10 upgrade path if you already own either games on the PS4.
Oh, okay.
I get it.
Well, I can see what they're doing there. Yeah, but it's not exactly a consumer-centric idea.
Nope. This means that Uncharted 4: A Thief's End and Uncharted: The Lost Legacy digital bundle is now the only way to purchase the two games on Sony's last-gen console. It's currently priced at $40. I think that's US, so be careful. It's probably like $50 Canadian. It's also worth noting the PS5 owners can still get Uncharted 4 through the PlayStation Plus collection, but you can't upgrade this version to the Legacy of Thieves collection. Hopefully, that's not too confusing, he says. Sony has announced a January 28th release for the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection on PS5, and it is also reconfirmed a 2022 release on PC. So on PS5, the game will feature three graphic options: Fidelity Mode for native 4K at 30 frames per second, and Performance Mode, which targets 60 frames per second, and Performance Plus Mode, which targets 120 frames in 1080p. Yes. So I reached out to Sony for some clarification on this. I'm waiting to hear back. But what happened recently to me is I went to go and play Horizon Zero Dawn. I own it digitally. I beat the game, and it's no longer in my library to access because it was digital and they bundled the game. Here's my question then moving forward with this. If I don't want the upgrade for $10, Scott, do I still get to play Lost Legacy? Do I get to play Uncharted 4? Now, right now, A Thief's End is in the collection edition, right? Like it's on the PlayStation Plus collection, right? So I'm able to get it there, but once they take that out of that collection, is it gone? I'm afraid I'm going to lose my game, Scott. Right?
Yeah, this is strange. Well, Northern Nerdcast joins us on Twitch, actually, and he says this is why you buy digital. Physical. Physical is what he said. Not digital, but that begs the question, does that still give you the upgrade path if you were on a physical disc? Or
that's a good question, too.
I'm not quite certain on that.
With this, you know what, and I absolutely get where he's coming from. If no one doesn't know Northern Nerdcast, he's definitely a physical collector. His library is massive, and I just don't have his kind of space. So I don't, for the amount of games we play, dude, if my whole entire like basement would be like wall to wall covered in games, I don't want that, right? That's the thing. So moving for me into digital was perfect. Here's the problem, is what we're running into now is I can't play a game I beat years ago if I wanted to go back into the world and get it, right? So it's kind of one of those things like, crap, now what? At the time, I paid for that game. I can no longer go back to access that game. And the same thing now worries me with Uncharted. If you want it, you have to get the bundle at $50 or $60, whatever it comes at when it launches, right? And it's just, we're losing the accessibility of our library.
I don't like that trend that trend of it, because what stops the next one from being discontinued when the further sequel comes out, and it's a little hard to understand what's going to happen then. Like, I can't imagine if, because Halo Infinite drops, I can't access 5.
Right.
And then should I buy Halo Infinite now thinking the same thing's going to happen when Halo 7 comes down? It kind of bothers my confidence in it. I don't like that.
Absolutely. That's where it was becoming a bit of an issue right now because of the digital age and what we live in. It's so easy. We've seen PT just leave the storefront altogether. They took down Cyberpunk 2077, right? So like, there's certain issues now we kind of roll into when it comes to a digital age. As much as physical is great because you always have access to it, but even then, there's just certain things you're not going to have access to, even in a physical state, because if you have certain upgrades and that console is no longer made and they're not longer updating that game, and the only way to get it was to download. Like, there's certain little hiccups, right? And I'm concerned now moving forward because I've already lost one game and I think I'm going to lose another one here.
Yeah,
but I'll probably, dude, I want the legacy collection.
Well, they're trying to push everything to digital, and it's just, there's enough problems in the way. We talk about hard drive space being an issue. Now there's memory card additions to these new gen consoles. It's just, this is another hurdle in the way of getting an online library. My closet actually does resemble a GameStop, and I think it'll continue.
Might be the way to go. Let's move on to the next one as we talk about Miyazaki says there would be no Dark Souls without ICO. Sony's PS2 gem was the game that encouraged him to become a game designer. This comes from Chris Scullion over at VGC, the creator of Souls series. Miyazaki said that his games would never have existed without PS2 game ICO. Scott, did you ever play that game?
No, I actually have not. I've heard of it though, being a huge moment in gaming.
But. Absolutely. Northern Nerdcast, I know you're at Twitch. Hit me up, dude. Did you play this game? Did you play it? I need to know. In a new Scott, where am I going? It's one of those things, right? I've seen this thing and whatever. Famitsu. I'm like, why am I going blank on this? In a new Famitsu article celebrating the 20th anniversary of ICO's release in Japan, a number of iconic creators pay tribute to the game. This includes Miyazaki, who explains that he had never played ICO at a friend's house. He would never, if he wouldn't. Man, let me back this up. That he had never played ICO at a friend's house. I did read that. Who explains that he never read? Yeah, that's weird written. Whatever. He would never have entered video game industry in the first place. ICO was developed by Sony's Japan studio and Team ICO, which is now, I believe, gone. Right, that's the sad part. It was released 20 years ago on PS2. Designed, man, it was such a iconic staple of that time. It was such a weird little twist. While exploring the fortress, Ico encounters Yorda, a girl being pursued by shadowy creatures. Playing as Ico, the player has to help Yorda escape the castle, often holding her hand along the way. Which in a lot of games back then, Scott, was very handheldy and frustrating because AI companions suck most of the time.
Well, even when it's not really down to AI, I remember, was it Metal Gear 2 where you have to carry the president's daughter forever through the water, and oh man, that was painful.
Yeah. Oh man, dude, there was so even like The Last of Us, Ellie couldn't swim, so you always had to go find her something to jump on so she could swim or get across the water. It was one of those things. It was a beautiful, untold experience and story that I had never imagined, and I'm very sorry to my friend, but I was quietly moved and silent. So, yeah. And then now we've got Dark Souls, which is an interesting take, man, coming from ICO, right? Like, that's a weird spin.
Yeah, he's quietly moved and silent, so therefore reduces everyone who plays to also quiet
and silent. Yeah, that's funny how that works. Reflections back in childhood, man, when you move into today's games. Yeah, there's definitely some staples back then. Shout out to Metal Gear. Wonder whatever happens to that series moving forward.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Just give me my remake. Let's move into the world of Ubisoft, because here we go. Ubisoft adds NFTs to Ghost Recon Breakpoint. This comes from Brendan Sinclair over at gamesindustry.biz. Dude, I saw an article come. Actually, I saw my press release come in on this. I went, really? Here we go. And I went to Brendan's article because I'm not completely confident in my understanding of NFTs. So I wanted to get some more clarity. And here's what's going on. Ubisoft announced the first implementation. Dude, I gotta slow down. Blockchain. I need another coffee. Somebody give me a coffee. Blockchain technology into one of his games with the addition of NFTs to the PC version of Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Later this month, the publisher will run a beta test of Ubisoft Quartz. That's what they're calling it. Its new platform for acquiring NFTs, which the publisher refers to as digits. They are associated with cosmetics, in-game items like weapons and vehicles. Man, I don't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and Ubisoft representative told GamesIndustry.biz its NFTs will always be cosmetic items that will have no impact on gameplay, which is great to hear. But they will unlock blueprints for the relevant item if the player hasn't done so already. Each NFT will have its own serial number visible in the game. So now I have some other UI,
and the serial number is available to you, but does that mean I can see it? Because that breaks the whole security, doesn't it?
This is where
unless it has a 3-digit code on the backside of it, but it's digital. I don't understand.
And here it goes. And can be sold to others outside of Ubisoft's platform. The representative said Ubisoft will not take transaction fees on any such sales. Additionally, if a player is banned from the game, they will still be able to sell their NFTs, but will not be able to acquire new ones for the duration of the ban, whether they try to get them through the Ubisoft Quartz or secondary sales channels. Quote, Ubisoft Quartz is the first building block of our ambitious vision for developing a true metaverse. End quote, said Ubisoft Strategic Innovation Lab VP Nicholas Poard. Quote, and it can't come to life without overcoming blockchain's early form limitations for gaming, including scalability and energy consumption. How is there energy consumption in a digital?
That's something that's, a huge topic on crypto forums right now.
Yes.
Which crypto coin is better than others because some represent a certain amount of greenhouse gas and electricity used and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Don't understand that science because you're viewing it through a screen, so I feel like there's a lot more to it than what's known, but I don't. This is just it's a weird. Well, I don't know. Sorry. Let me let you finish first. I want to understand this.
I'm trying my best too. Ubisoft's NFTs use the Tezo proof of stake blockchain. With the publisher saying the transactions uses the energy of streaming 30 seconds of video compared to a year of streaming for proof of work blockchain technology. Ubisoft Quartz requires the players to be 18 years of age. As for whether the publisher intended to bring this to consoles or games that feature cross-platform play with consoles, the representative said Ubisoft Quartz is still an experiment. Right now, we're focused on launching it for Ubisoft Connect PC players for Ghost Recon Breakpoint and hearing their feedback. Scott, okay, what's going on, from what I understand, is NFTs are a serial number, which will be a unique one-time purchase. Okay? Now, I don't know about you, but I really don't care. I really do not care about having a serial number. I just want the cosmetic. Does it look cool? Cool. I'm in for that, right? I don't care about having this digital number that I can sell Really? I'm going to sell a digital number? Okay, you ready, Scott? 754321. That is now worth $10,000 and it's up for sale. Who want, like, you know what I mean? Like, there's something I'm missing here because I don't understand how this works.
There's only one that makes sense, and it's a real stretch, but it's in the case of Futurama, 100100101, and that's the code to open a portal, but Bender knows. And so if you know the whole show, it could make sense as to why you'd have something, but it's I don't know. It's analogous to just like a strange tattoo on your body at that point. I'm not sure if anybody understands what's going on, what the purpose of owning an NFT would be.
I don't know.
What does it get you? I'm wondering if there's other examples in recent history where that would make more sense. If you had Cyberpunk day one, and that was an NFT that came along with that, just to show that you were a beta participant or day one or something. And would that really get you anything? If you mentioned PT, so if you had a PT one, I could see how that would be rare in some instance. But
that's
again, it just boils down to an image.
Well, that's this thing. Okay, so you get a gun skin. I get a gun skin. My number is 735. All right. You get the exact same skin, but your number is 734. Like, is yours worth more than mine because of mine is after? Like, or like, really? It's just, to me, it's just a number. And now I got to walk around on screen with a number on my screen. Like, I don't want that. Right now, I play in the hardcore mode where I don't have a HUD at all. So the last thing I want is to add this thing up there. There's my NFT number. Woohoo! Good for me.
Eventually, it looks like a closed beta where you're not able to screen cap because it just has watermark text everywhere because you're a collector. Part of me is skeptical on any of this, as well as crypto.
Yeah.
But in the case of video games, I just don't understand who really asked for it.
Does it matter?
It just doesn't represent anything I could see a gamer wanting. If it's part of a Diablo marketplace or something, okay, that makes sense because it's an actual item in game. But I really struggle to understand what the benefit of this is, other than it looks to me to be something that a company can monetize in a certain way. It brings back thoughts of loot boxes and such, which I understand it is quite different. But because nobody understands really what the purpose of NFTs are in general, I feel like it's just an opportunity to muddy the waters and catch some gamers spending money in ways they didn't really intend.
Yeah, no, there's still a lot to understand, and it's very new, very early, and I'm definitely curious to see what the players over on the PC Breakpoint servers have to say about this new implementation of NFTs. But Scott, this kind of brings us into the next topic with Reddit numbers are in. By the numbers, Reddit is home to more than 100,000 active communities around the world. In 2021, Redditors created more than 366 million posts, which is 19% increase year over year. As of November 9th, 2021, we've seen 2.3 billion total comments and a 12% increase year over year and nearly 46 billion total upvotes. But the most popular theme, Scott, are you ready? Number one, cryptocurrency.
Yes, there's big wait. If you're curious about crypto, I think now is the time to learn, but that's as far as I'm gonna.
Yeah, exactly. And then number 2, gaming. 3, sports. 4, weddings. 5, health and fitness. 6 was food and drink. And 7, lastly, was movies and television. Now, getting into our world, Scott, we're talking about gaming. And by the numbers, the top 5 most viewed communities in 2021 were Genshin Impact, League of Legends, gaming, RPG clips, GTA, and Final Fantasy. So there's some interesting little takes there. Reddit,
I'm surprised there isn't Minecraft and some of the other games, Fortnite, things that just keep going and going.
No, for sure. Most upvoted posts in gaming communities. Under gaming was Boy Gamer with 220,000 upvotes. I don't know what that is. Gaming, EA will no longer have exclusive rights to the Star Wars games with 173 votes. League of Legends was World's 2021 prediction tournament, 83,000 votes. And then number 4 was League of Legends AOC featuring her clutch Baron Snipe on IG, 48,000. And then Final Fantasy was times changing with 20,000. So there's a little...
Ocasio-Cortez doesn't get a coffee without it making some news somewhere.
Scott, let's move into the world of Spider-Man quickly here. Here's why Spider-Man's Miles Morales new No Way Home suits are PS5 exclusive. This comes from Darren over at GameSpot.
Oh, man, they're holding everything back, aren't they?
Spider-Man No Way Home debuts in just a few days, and to celebrate, developer Insomniac Games has announced a pair of new in-game costumes inspired by the film that will soon be added to the Marvel Spider-Man Remastered. The catch here is that these suits will only be available on the PS5 edition for the game. Yikes. Here's why, though. Quote, this comes right from Insomniac Games over on their Twitter feed. Since its 2018 release, we've updated Spider-Man on PS4 19 times, adding more suits and features than originally planned. Each patch has been more technically complex, especially with maintaining PS4 HDD streaming performance. And quote, Insomniac also tweeted, to ensure fans continue enjoying Spider-Man, Marvel Spider-Man on PS4, it's at its optimal performance, we've made the difficult decision to release these new suits for Marvel Spider-Man Remastered on PS5, where our PS5 engine allows us to update the game without jeopardizing player experience. Scott, this leads me to my question of, are we starting to see the transition from last gen into new gen already?
Yeah, that might make a lot of sense, actually. And a lot of things will be left in the past just as we get further down the line. It's only been a year since console release, so yeah. I would suspect in the next year we're going to see a lot more drop-off as they put more consoles in the market. But a funny idea occurred to me. What if I had an NFT that allowed me to use this on another console? Whether it's PlayStation 4. Of course, I'm not loading up Spider-Man on my Xbox, unfortunately, but
never.
I'm wondering if there's ways to make that magic work with NFTs. I'm struggling to find a use.
Yeah, I have no idea, but I think now we're starting to see the limitations of last gen hardware, where developers are now getting into the new generation of gaming and going, you know what, this isn't going to work well on last gen. And the biggest problem being is that no one can get a PS5. They're still struggling to get a PS5, an Xbox Series X or S, right? And we're having a hard time transitioning into next gen. There's always been a shortage right at launch, but it's not at launch anymore. We're like a year later, and we're still struggling, right? That's because of parts shortages and this, that, and the other. But my biggest thing, Scott, is that, old technology now is becoming old technology. Xbox stated that they're going to stick around for years with the old Xbox One. Here's the problem. My son the other day goes to my Xbox One X, puts in Vanguard, goes to play Vanguard, and it just kicks him out. Like, it just won't run. Goes over my Series X, runs no problem, right? So are the limitations of old gen starting to catch up? And I think they are, Scott. But dude, we're getting wrapped up for the end of the day. What games do we have out today?
We have Transient Extended Edition. That's on the Switch, the Xbox One, and the PlayStation 4. And we have, as mentioned at the beginning of the show today, Halo Infinite has dropped. That campaign is now available.
Absolutely. We're at special guest Steve Vegvari over on Inside the Game, and him and I both talked about how we completed the game and our thoughts on it as well. So make sure you check that out. But if you don't check it out, hopefully you're playing, because you're going to be in for one heck of a game. That's for sure. Scott, that's going to wrap up today's show. Everybody, thank you for hanging out with us. This has been ITG Daily, the show that brings you the hottest in gaming news. You can always join us live over at twitch.tv/theofficialITG, as well as YouTube at Inside the Game Official, 11 a.m. Eastern. But if you can't join us live, hit us up later, InsideTheGame.ca, podcast services, and TV streaming networks around the globe. Until tomorrow, everybody, I'm Drew. That is the legendary Scott Savage. We'll see you all tomorrow, Inside the Game.